but
Oh wait, my Streamlabs has me and Adam frozen.
apparently my wife has headphones that I can use. 1 second.
Oh, nice. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
So the Lost Ledgers, we are down a man at the moment because something's going on.
There's something in the air. And it's
also
snow. It's snow. There's a lot of snow in the air.
Hey, yeah, there is a lot of snow in the air. And yesterday it was above freezing temperatures, so
Yeah, it's not fun out there.
I bet not. And I was planning on going to the store today, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. Anybody who's in the chat, though, let us know if mine and Adam's webcams are frozen, because they look like they are on my side. Maybe if I refresh the scene.
They look frozen to me, too. Just you two. That's really weird.
That literally makes no sense. Okay, they're not frozen on this screen, the stream without the overlays. But on this, they are.
Hey, I'm back.
Nice headphone.
Oh! I think we're not frozen anymore. Anymore.
Nice.
It took Adam saying he's back for us to be not frozen.
The cameras were waiting for me.
Well, we are back here, as I've said already. We do have 3 new followers. A couple of my friends followed, so this might be the first stream they watch if they watch, which will be somewhat confusing. Because this is the first stream that we've had that relies on a previous stream to be caught up.
Two of them, in fact.
2 of them, yeah. So, for anybody who's not in the know, we previously did a couple of workshop streams. One on a class of Adam's design called the Hemoturge, and another, me, Adam, and Justin came on here and just tried to throw a subclass together for the Sorcerer. We got most of the way done with both of them, and we sit on those streams that we would finish them up off stream, and that did not happen. So we're taking the liberties this week to hopefully just finish them up and get them out of the way. It'd be nice for us to finally have a fully level 20 functioning version of the Hemoturge that we all feel pretty decent about.
It'd be real nice.
And I mean, it's annoying that we haven't finished the subclass, considering we've had now 2 episodes where we all just brought an entire subclass and we couldn't make one on stream. So,
although to be fair, building a subclass by committee on stream, I think, is a lot harder than everybody going home and bringing their own subclass.
Yeah, it very much is. But this time we have Zach, notable liker of witches, to help us with this witchy version of the Sorcerer. And I know I didn't really do like an introduction when we went through everybody, but I really just want to get through these and get them done. So I kind of just want to jump into it.
Let's just jump in, man. Let's just do it.
And we'll start by catching the chat and Zach up with what we have already with the Sorcerer, and then we can discuss any ideas that we have for these abilities, and possibly names for abilities. According to Adam, he has some ideas.
I have a couple of ideas. Yes, I have a couple of things. Oh God, I just minimized everything. Oh no. Oh God.
How do you do this watching the stream, Adam? Because just the delay from Shawn and you talking while watching it just throws me off too much.
It's difficult. It's difficult. And you'll notice a lot of the times I'll say something like, "Oh, can you scroll down?" Oh wait, no, you're already scrolling.
All right, so we have in front of us working title Hagborn. We did not find a name for the subclass that we all liked. We had Hagborn, we had Coven Blood, we had other stuff. I'm sure there's only 2 I can think of right now, but we had a few, usually around Hag or Coven, and we couldn't settle on anything. First and foremost, we have our Sorcerer spells for the Hagborn. We chose Disguise Self, Dissonant Whispers, Alter Self, Rain of Enfeeblement, Bestow Curse, Speak with Dead, Blight, Polymorph, Gaius, and Insect Plague. All of which I'm very happy with. I think those are all great spells for a hag-based Sorcerer.
I came back to that list, and I was trying to come back to this whole thing with a critical eye, and I think that those were all great choices.
Yeah, probably the easiest part of making a subclass to get spells is just picking spells for them.
Yeah.
as long as you don't put restriction yourself, like, oh, I should only use SRD.
No, right, yeah. Restricting yourself to SRD makes everything a lot harder.
Yeah. So what we have so far: Ethereal Step, first action, first level ability. As an action, you can enter the ethereal plane as the ethereal in the spell until the start of your next turn. However, creatures on the plane you enter from can still perceive you as a spectral form on that plane. So you go in the ethereal plane, and you have all the benefits of being ethereal. However, you do not have the benefit of being effectively invisible to everything else. They can still see you. You leave back essentially a double of yourself on whatever plane you were on. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, unless you expend a first level or higher spell slot to do so. Then we have the other first level ability, or this I think the sixth level ability.
I was gonna say, I think this is supposed to be the sixth level ability. It's just it doesn't say anywhere in the text that it's the sixth level ability.
Yeah, the new convention for subclasses is to have a thing under here that says first level Hagborn ability, as opposed to saying it explicitly in the text, which is why they have these tables typically as well. So, Coven, 6th level ability. When you finish a long rest, you can perform a ritual to induct a number of creatures other than yourself up to your charisma modifier into your Coven. Members of this Coven can cast your Sorcerer cantrips. Cantrips they cast in this way use their charisma modifier as their spellcasting ability. That should just be charisma as their spellcasting ability. When a member in the Coven sees another member targeted by an attack, they can use their reaction to roll a d4 and subtract the number rolled from the result. When you're within 30 feet of another member, the creature can roll a d4. Oh, this is just restating that. That's just that should have been
actually
edited.
no. That's a different thing. That one lets you give somebody like bless.
Oh, that adds. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I was thinking so once per turn.
I was thinking about maybe rewording that.
There's definitely ways to reword that for sure.
I was gonna say, I think no more than once per turn is probably fine, but it would let you take advantage of it on opportunity attacks and during your turn. So I was thinking about maybe saying once a creature uses this ability, they can't do so again until the beginning of their next turn.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. That could definitely work.
Or once a creature adds a d4 in this way, they can't do so again until the beginning of their next turn. That way, it doesn't matter how many other people try to give it to them. They can only do it once.
Oh, I like it better if the people who are giving or subtracting the d4 are restricted. I don't mind them giving them all to one person over the course of a round.
Well, then that's totally fine. Then I was just going over what the different ways of wording it would do. So
yeah,
whichever one we land on, I think is fine.
We had some ideas for level 14 abilities.
I was going to say, it looks like we were planning on giving it both of these abilities, right? Because the first one is pretty ribbony, and then the second one is a lot more meaty. Although we didn't actually write down any of the meat.
We didn't write down any of the meat. We wrote down the skeleton, but not the meat.
I have some ideas for the meat, though, and I have names for both of these. So read them, and then I'll get to that.
Yeah. Well, let me just read all of the abilities, and then we can start breaking down what we think about each of the abilities and stuff. Level 14. You can see and hear anything another member of your coven can see and hear. Granted, they are within 120 feet of you. Creatures that can be heard by more than one member of your coven don't gain the benefits of invisibility against members of your coven. And then the other one is, as a bonus action, you can spend a sorcery point to gain one of the following benefits, or grant the benefits to one of the members of your coven within 30 feet of you. And then we're going to make a list of abilities you can do. And then finally, level 18. When you use your meta magic option while a member of your coven is within 30 feet of you and is not incapacitated, you can reduce the number of sorcery points spent by 1. If 3 or more of your members of the coven are within 30 feet of you, you are not incapacitated. You reduce and then we didn't finish that. I think there's maybe a more interesting thing we can do with that last level ability. But what were your thoughts on those abilities?
I think that I agree that the capstone could be a little flashier. It's definitely strong, so I don't think it needs a power upgrade. I just think it needs something that makes it feel cooler.
I was thinking, I had this thought before we got on the stream here. I was thinking that it'd be cool. A lot of sorcerer classes get like a stance at the end, sort of like the paladin. It'd be cool if you had a stance that affected you and your coven.
I think we talked about that on the original stream, and we just couldn't come up with anything that we liked in the time constraint.
But yeah, so what are our thoughts on these all 14-bit shits and names and stuff too?
So for the ribbon one, the you can see and hear anything another member of your coven can see or hear. I like that ability as a ribbon, and I was thinking a good name for it would be Swirling Visions.
Ooh, like
I would
looking
almost
into a cauldron.
Yeah, kind of.
I would almost say you can do farther than 120 feet, especially if it's a level 14 ability.
Well, the thing is, the reason that we kind of went this lower is because it is more of like a ribbon ability. It does give you the ability to detect invisible creatures. Though I think that should also maybe include creatures that are heavily obscured even too. That way it's not just invisibility. But anyway, but yeah, we were thinking that the meat of the 14th level abilities would be the second ability, and that was more of a ribbon, which is why we had it restricted a bit more. I think if it were, I guess it depends
Even
on how
then,
long
it's a level 14 of it. Even if it was just like a mile.
I think that a mile might be reasonable. It might get a little fiddly then, though. But I think
why would
a
it be
mile.
fiddly?
I don't know. It just feels weird to me to extend that range up to a mile. But I don't think. I guess it's not any more fiddly than 120 feet. It just feels like too long of a range to easily keep track of. Like 120 feet, you can measure out on a battle mat. It might be the whole battle mat, depending on where you're standing, but you can measure it out on a battle mat. A mile, you probably aren't measuring out on a battle mat.
Yeah, but I think a good part of the use of this ability is out of combat, and you're usually not doing that on a mat.
Sure, that's fair.
I mean, I guess if you're used to like playing on Roll20 and stuff, you might have a mat more often, and it'd be easy to measure 120 feet. But also in that same vein, if you and the other character are both on the same Roll20 map, they're probably within a mile of you. I don't think anybody has mile. Well, they might have mile long Roll20 maps if they like super.
It would take so long to load.
Oh yeah, that would be.
If they made the tiles be like, I don't know, 200 feet or something, maybe, or like 500 feet, that'd be too much because that would only be 10 by 10.
I was gonna say 500 feet would only need to be 10 by 10, but I mean, if you did it as like 25 by 25, you would only need it to be 20 by 20 for it to be a mile.
Yeah.
Like, wait, that doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I think it would be.
It'd be 200 by 200. That's big,
still,
but not
that's still very big. Yeah.
Yeah, I think upping that to a mile wouldn't be too powerful. Like we said, it's mostly a ribbon anyways.
Yeah.
So increasing the range on the ribbon. Honestly,
I genuinely like the idea that like if you send a party into scout or a party member into scout, you just get everything that they get.
Yeah, I really like the idea of that. It felt like 120 feet. Then you're like having to go in with that scout person almost or something like that.
I agree. And I think
originally I was like, what if it was just on the same plane? But that's definitely too far. Like you can just send people across and like listen to them.
Right. Well, but also I'm not
100% sure it's too long because a warlock at level 3, when they get their pack of the chain and they get their invocation for it, can do with their familiar, as long as they're on the same plane of existence, they can see through their eyes.
Well, right, but the warlock doesn't get to choose new creatures to designate as their familiar every long rest.
Yeah, but they get it at 3rd level, so that's, I mean, they're getting it 11 levels earlier, so it's fair that theirs is a little bit weaker.
Sure, but also, we weren't trying for this to be the meat and potatoes of the 14th level ability. It was supposed to just be a ribbon on top. So for the meat and potatoes level 14 ability, I came up with 3 options. I don't think they're all slam dunks, but I think that they're a good place to start. So the first benefit I came up with was regain hit points equal to 2d6 plus your charisma modifier. The second one I came up with was the next attack roll they make is made with advantage. And the third one I came up with was they gain resistance to the damage type of your choice until the start of your next turn.
What was that last one?
Resistance to the damage type of your choice until the start of your next turn.
Okay. Those are all pretty good.
The one I was least sure of was the regaining hit points one.
What was it? You regaining hit points what?
2d6 plus charisma.
Yeah, I had it as 2d6 plus charisma, but I mean, I'm open to playing around with that.
Yeah, the healing one seems a little out of it.
What was the last? What was the other one? Advantage attack roll.
Yeah, next attack roll they make is made with advantage.
When do sorcerers get their points back?
Long rest.
Okay.
But they can also turn spell slots into them.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's not terrible, because I was thinking of if they could abuse it for short rest by getting rid of all of their sorcery points just to heal.
Right. That's the thing, like burning all of your sorcery points to heal going into a short rest.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, that wouldn't be a problem because they don't regain them that quickly.
Yeah.
My biggest concern about it was that it's kind of it's more healing than healing word, and it's a sorcery point instead of a spell slot.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that maybe we could add the restriction, member of your coven within 30 feet of you that can see or hear you. Then you could give them hit points only if they're conscious.
My only issue with that is that it is more healing than healing word. But I think the benefit of bringing a creature up from 0 is the stronger part of healing word.
Right, and that's why I was saying that we could restrict it to only being able to work on creatures that are still conscious.
Or the stronger part of healing. I feel like that'd be too... I just don't like the idea of it healing at all, personally.
Okay, that's fine. I just
like
wanted to come up with 3 things, and I couldn't think of a third thing, so...
Yeah, no, you temporary hit points?
I don't like the... Temporary hit points that give a benefit while they're there would be cool. I think that's one of the best mechanics you can do with temporary hit points. So, like, what if the resistance to damage give temporary hit points, and you had that resistance as long as you had the temporary hit points?
Oh, sure. So, like, they get temp HP equal to your charisma modifier, and they have resistance to the damage type of your choice, as long as they have those temporary hit points.
Yeah.
2d6 plus your charisma modifier.
Or maybe just like
5 temporary hit points is going to be gone real quick.
Maybe twice your charisma modifier. That'd be 10.
Are we trying to make the resistance last super long? I guess giving it only to one member for a sorcery point, temporary hit points on one, or resistance on one
and if
attack,
it's one that you
super
choose.
good.
Yeah, and if it's one that you choose, like, you got to choose good.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that being able to choose the resistance is strong, because resistance is a situationally good ability if you have it always. But if you can choose in the moment what resistance you have, it can be really good. Especially since this doesn't limit, for instance, slashing, piercing, and bludgeoning. It's just any damage type.
Yeah. I originally thought about just listing out a few damage types, but by the time I had all the damage types I wanted you to be able to resist, it was a pretty long list, so I just said damage type of your choice.
So these are all really good abilities. I kind of want these to be more unique to a coven. One, like, because when I think of other features that give like a list of these abilities, they're usually pretty unique to the class. There was an example I literally had in my head, and I've already lost it, which makes this feel like I'm talking nonsense.
Okay, how about one of them is the creature is invisible until the start of their next turn?
That's awesome. I like that cool. A lot. Yeah, you are, for one sorcery point, that's incredible. You are invisible.
What if you can switch spots with them?
Oh, switching locations with another member of your coven? That'd be really cool.
Ooh. Yeah, you are invisible until the end of your next turn. I'm phrasing it this way because the idea is that these benefits apply to the person who are giving it to them.
Shouldn't it be start of your next turn?
So the way I have it written, right? If you gave this to somebody else, they would be invisible until the start of their next turn. The way I have it phrased right now.
I thought you said end.
Right, but if I change it to start, right? The way I have it phrased right now, let's say I just changed the word in to start. I'd give someone invisibility, and then when their turn comes around, they stop being invisible before they have a chance to even utilize it.
That was my intention. My intention was for it to be a defensive thing.
Oh, that seems a little weak to me. I like them being able to use the advantage they get from being invisible.
Okay, sure.
But yeah, tell us switch places. So, you can.
Would they come out of invisibility?
No.
If they attacked or anything, they stay.
It'd be greater invisibility, but only for 6 seconds.
Yeah, for one turn. I think that's worth it for one sorcery point at 14th level. For a unique way of using sorcery points.
As a bonus action too.
Yeah. I think so. Greater visibility lasts for 1 minute.
1 minute? Yeah, 1 minute.
1 minute is concentration. The monk at 14th level, I think they get it. It might be 18th.
I think it's 15th? I don't know. Let me check.
They get the ability to spend 4 key points to be greater invisible for, I want to say, an hour. No concentration, and the resistance to all damage. So I don't think this is too far-fetched to have a 1 round.
It's 18th level, but it's only a minute.
It's only a minute? Okay. It's still really fucking strong.
Yeah.
And I think for 1 sorcery point at 14th level, being able to take advantage of invisibility for a turn is, I think, not too crazy.
I think if that's in there, then we have to make sure that everything else that we put is as equal to that, though. Because that one seems like, why would you use other ones?
Right. That's why I think we should choose other unique things that are pretty good.
So for the switch places one, would the language be something like, you can choose a willing member of your coven within 30 feet of you and switch places with them?
You and 1 willing member of your coven. And 1 willing member of your... 1 willing member... You choose...
Can switch
willing
places. I mean, because we already have the 30 feet on you.
Well, but the problem is that 30 feet restriction is on who you can give the benefit to, not who you can switch with.
Yeah. So, like, you can give it to someone within 30 feet of you, but if they, like, see someone within 60 feet, if you choose 60 feet, for instance, they can swap with that person. Of your coven. I guess we can discuss how far you want it to go later. You and the chosen creature immediately teleport to each other's spaces.
I think that's how you would word that.
Now, how does that interact with someone being larger or smaller? Say I'm in... How do we want that to interact in those types of situations? If maybe
if a large
space isn't big enough.
I mean, there's rules for that. Large creatures in a 5x5 space are just squeezed.
Yeah, it should be good enough. I will agree, though, that it is kind of... It's more situational, I think, than the invisibility.
I think most things are going to be more situational than greater invisibility.
Right, which is why I think there could be a way to spice this. But that might be something we can think about later.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a way of that, but I had another idea.
Because I think that being able to swap places does have unique uses that invisibility doesn't.
Yeah, but I feel like there is some spice that can be added onto that somehow.
Right, that's what I'm saying is that, but I think it needs spice for it to feel more impactful.
Yeah, I'm agreeing. What if you created some sort of direct line link to a coven member that's within 30 feet of you that does something to anything caught in that line?
Oh,
Or is that too
interesting.
complicated?
It wouldn't be necessarily too complicated. I mean, you could just say.
I was originally thinking damage, but I'm not sure if you want to give a 1 sorcery point damage thing on a bonus action, like something like that. It could be low, but
I don't know. I wasn't sure that like an offensive option fit with what the ability was supposed to be doing, but
okay.
Yeah, I like the idea of these being like really good utility options. Obviously, invisibility has a reach into all different sorts of uses in combat. I think there would be an easy way of making a line between two members, but I don't know if it necessarily should be offensive. Is there maybe something
Doesn't have
else
to be
you can do with a
offensive.
line?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be offensive. I just
Right.
that way, like positioning comes into play. It'd be an interesting thing that you can do. Charm effect. I don't know if that's too offensive for you.
I'm just not sure.
You want it to be more utility and less like.
Well, and since the wording of the ability, I mean, the wording can change. Like the way we've got it worded now is you gain one of the following benefits, or you grant one of the benefits to one of the members of your coven. Like,
yeah, yeah.
We could. What if you could end some sort of conditions, like some list of conditions? Like I think it'd be cool if you could end a charm or a frightened. I think that would fit with particularly a charm, with like the hag
I think that would fit.
Idea.
Charm, frightened,
charmed, frightened, or poisoned, and any
I was
of the
thinking poisoned,
and any of the charmed, frightened, or poisoned conditions on you or the chosen member of the coven.
Yeah, because that would be strong to be able to use it on yourself, though.
Well, you could just say
if you're within 30 feet of a coven member.
Well, you wouldn't be able to use it yourself. And I think most charms, you wouldn't even think to remove the charm because like it's supposed to be changing the way that you think.
But like if you were frightened,
but I don't think that's necessarily too strong. Considering there's so many ways of circumventing frightening at this level. Being able to just end a frighten on you wouldn't be that bad. The monk also already has the ability to like end a charm and frighten on themselves as a free thing that you can do as an action. I don't think it costs him a key point to do it.
What the fuck does the monk have so much
it doesn't cost a key point, but it is a full action. But also they get it at 7th level, so
yeah. And there's already questions to that. It's like, well, like if you're charmed, would you even think of doing that? And it's like, I think the idea is that monks have some sort of understanding when they're not behaving themselves, I guess. That's how I would rule it, just because like in most charm situations the monk shouldn't even think of to do that, like so I think that'd be cool. I think you
and one effect that is causing you to be charmed, frightened, or poisoned.
And one effect that or one. I think they say charmed, frightened effect. One.
No, I'm looking at the language right now. And one effect on yourself that is causing you to be charmed or frightened.
That is causing you to be charmed, frightened, or poisoned.
And what I was thinking of for the name of this ability was Covenant Surge.
Ooh. Surge.
That's pretty good.
Is what covenant again?
ANT at the end.
That's what I thought. All right. Cool. I'm gonna scrap level 18 ability. I think it's too generic.
Okay. Luckily, the name I had was also super generic, so maybe the name will still work with whatever new thing we come up with.
Right,
the name I came up with was Toil and Trouble.
That's good.
How many things are we trying to come up with for the level 14 thing?
I think 3 is fine. 3
is a good start. If we had an additional one, I don't think that'd be bad.
I
thought of spice for the teleporting one.
Oh, okay.
What's the spice?
You also have like the blur effect on you after it's done, like both targets.
Ooh.
Gain the blur effect.
Both targets gain the blur effect until.
Isn't the blur effects just they have disadvantage on attack rolls against them?
Yeah, your body becomes blurred, shifting and wavering to all who can see. For the duration, any creature has disadvantage on attack rolls against you. An attacker is immune to this effect if it doesn't rely on sight, as with blind sight, or can see through illusions or true sight.
How long do we
So
want
it's
this
just
to last?
disadvantage.
Just like until the
turn.
start of your next turn. Like
Yeah. Because if there's a way to word it, because I don't know if there would be, you can I would say you can choose to teleport or the blur effect, and kind of like that way they're not sure if you've switched spots or not.
Oh, like mislead, like they can't tell who's in that spot.
Yeah. So like regardless of if you switch or not, you get the blur effect, but you can
Okay.
choose to switch.
Okay.
okay, I mean honestly, you could do that just by adding the word "can" to
Yeah.
the immediately teleport to each other's spaces line. You and the chosen creature can immediately teleport to each other's spaces.
The
let's
blur doesn't
see.
specifically say that that would like confuse people for like who's who, but thematically it kind of makes sense. It just gives disadvantage on attack rolls, but even then you still have the option to teleport or not, and either way you guys can get the blur on you. So it's kind of like you can choose, but either way it's still useful if you want the blur.
Right, yeah. That's the thing. Even if all you want is the blur, you can just apply it to both of you, but you can also swap spaces.
So one way we could do this, instead of making it specifically the blur, we can make both you and the chosen individual be heavily obscured.
Oh yeah, heavily obscured is even better.
Which will grant disadvantage on attack rolls, but also will make enemies unable to tell who they're looking at.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, if we can word that differently so that is the way it is, that would be awesome.
Are heavily heavily obscured until the end of your next turn. Additionally, you and the chosen creature can yeah, I think just can immediately. I'll just say immediately. I feel like there's a better way.
I
guess
the worry with that one that I would have is that then it's also giving you advantage on attack rolls. Just like the invisibility.
That's true.
Yeah, honestly, the invisible one feels kind of redundant now that you can heavily obscure yourself and someone else.
Well, the benefit that invisibility gives is that you can hide in plain sight. You can't do that with being heavily obscured.
Yes, you can, because you're heavily obscured. If you're heavily obscured, you can hide.
Can you
how would that work though? Because let's say you have Shadow of Moil on you, right?
Yeah.
If you have Shadow of Moil on you, I know what space you're in. You literally cannot hide from me.
I mean,
like I know exactly what your location is.
A 5-foot square is a lot of space. Okay, actually, you know, I was mistaken here. The rules on hiding don't say anything about being heavily obscured, although that is implied by the Wood Elf's feature that says that you can attempt to hide even when only lightly obscured by foliage and bullshit. The hiding rules don't actually mention obscuration at all. They say the GM decides when circumstances are appropriate for hiding, which is just awful game design. in that it's not game design. It's telling the people playing the game, yeah, design how hiding works. Fucking God.
If that one's too hard to work into it, we can come back to it and just keep the teleport as it is for now.
It's not that hard. You and the chosen creatures visages are
unless it just takes like special wording and it's not like
and attacks made against each of you have disadvantage. till the end of your next turn.
It's just special wording and no actual like effects or conditions involved.
Yeah.
That works. Just spell it out.
You and the chosen creature can immediately teleport to each other's spaces. I don't know why I deleted all this text. To each other's spaces. Additionally, or maybe even regardless, we'll see. You and the chosen creature's visions are blurred and mixed in attacks made against each you at disadvantage till the end of your next turn. Cool. I think these are all valuable, and I think also at this level, having an ability to end any of these effects is not that crazy. I think
Yeah.
No.
a lot of classes are able to just end these or prevent them altogether.
Right. All right. What do we want to do for the capstone then?
Yeah, did you have an idea? You said you wanted to scrap this one.
I wanted to start because I like the idea of granting a sort of stance to you and all of your coven, as opposed to like the kind of always on meta magic thing here. Seems a little bit more not standard, but like it doesn't pull itself away far enough from the sorcerer class, I think.
I mean, does it need to?
I would like it to. I tend to prefer subclasses that pull away further from the class in general, unless the idea of the subclass is to like enhance those abilities.
But I feel like the idea of every subclass should be to enhance what the base class can do in some way.
Right, but it can enhance in a way that like is like extremely flavorful and unique. I think that most.
I mean, nothing else in the game reduces sorcery point costs for meta magic. Like,
right, but that is such a that's such a what's the word?
bland.
Bland, I suppose, but I'm thinking that seems like a harsher term. I don't mind the idea of decreasing. I think that's a cool ability. I just think that is not incredibly creative. I suppose like going from you have sorcery points to sorcery points cost less to you is such a standard jump of an idea.
But nothing else does it yet. Like,
I get that. I'm not talking about its uniqueness compared to other abilities. I'm talking about its uniqueness compared to what you could do with it. It just seems like such a small step away from the class.
Did you have an idea for stances?
This is literally just a preference thing. It's just a preference thing.
I think I disagree with you, but I would also not be opposed to coming up with a stance for the capstone, because I think that the stances make good capstones. So,
did you have an idea? Because I just came up with one.
No, I didn't have an idea. What's your idea?
Something, and name-wise, it would be something along the line of Coven's Connection. Going back to my
name, Zach. You're gonna throw away Adam's name.
the name is Toil and Trouble. Damn it.
Okay, well, I mean, this would work for that as well. Going back to kind of my link idea, but thinking of it more, I don't know what exactly the stance would do, but what I'm thinking is if your coven is within range of you, you get bonuses for each coven member that is within range of you, or you could have that link that I was talking about, and if people pass by the link, then something happens to them while you're in the stance.
Let me see.
But as for what the stance does, I'm trying to think of that.
My only issue with the link thing is that I feel like the links are, at this level, incredibly easy for the enemy to circumvent. Because if you're just drawing a line between you and each coven member, any creature that's a fly speed can just go, oh, well, I'll just go around it for maybe the cost of 5 movement speed. So it'd just be really easy for you to...
Well, it would be more about the coven members moving around so that people do pass through the link and whatnot. Like coordinatedly, you would be like the link would move with you.
That would be interesting because it's very rare in 5e. In fact, I don't think there is an ability in 5e that you can move an effect onto someone and have it immediately affect them. Because most things, it's start your turn in the area.
Let's sort of-
Yeah.
What did you
or
have an
pass
idea of what
through
it
is a lot
did?
of. Some things do pass through, but
Well, that's what I'm saying is that
no,
if we,
I don't have an
even if we
idea for what
did
the link
pass
does.
through, monsters could easily circumvent the line. Because unless the line's like massive,
How
like
does
we made it really wide.
there's a couple. Hold on. But no, I don't have an idea for what exactly the link would do. Originally damage, but I'm trying to avoid damage and make it more interesting. And I still want the stance to be able to be used by itself, but I think it would be interesting since we're involving the coven to
What
have
if
them increase it or involved in it in some way.
What if instead of a line, it's just like a circular area of effect that extends from every member of the coven?
Yeah, like each of them within like 10 feet of each member.
Right. Yeah. I was thinking 10 or 15 feet from each member of the coven. That way, you can spread out and cover a wider area, or you can bunch together and like have a close knit, but like mostly circular area. Like
So the effect radiates from the coven members as well.
that's the thing. So every member of the coven, probably within some reasonable restriction,
You can make it like smaller for the
120
coven
feet or something.
members and like higher for the actual hag.
I mean, we could do that. Maybe 30 feet for you and 10 feet for your other coven members.
Yeah. Depends on what the
Let's
effect
see.
is, really. But I like that idea as well.
I
I'm trying to
mean,
think of what the
Depends on how
stance
strong
would
we want to make
do.
the effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some examples of stances that sorcerers have. They're usually all pretty insular. Like they just give like great buffs to the sorcerer who's doing them. But there's no reason.
Also, I'm thinking if the coven members are within range of you, they for each one, the stance gets stronger for something or something as well.
There's not a lot of effects that you can scale that much. Because, like, if we're scaling it by the number of coven members that are, like,
Yeah.
within range of you, that's up to your charisma modifier, I think.
You could cap it, be like max of 3 members.
Right, it's just there's not a lot of effects that are worthwhile at 1 and good at 3. Like, it's a pretty narrow range to work in. What if the stance gives you and your coven members like resistance to necrotic damage, or maybe even immunity to necrotic damage? I don't know. And then like proc some damage in the area of effect and potentially frighten the creatures that get damaged.
Ooh. My only issue with frighten at this level is that pretty much every monster you're fighting this level, or well, any serious monster you're fighting is gonna have immunity.
What condition would you rather apply? Because most high CR monsters are immune to basically any good condition.
It doesn't have to be a condition necessarily. It could just be an application of an effect. Like you can have them be effectively frightened in that they can't move closer to you without it calling out the frightened condition. For instance, like it doesn't have to be an existing condition in the game. It can just be an effect that's applied.
Oh shit! What if it applies the fucking dissonant whispers effect, where they have to use their reaction to move away?
Ooh,
That
could be cool. So if any member of your coven, if you or any member of your coven, hits a monster or a creature, that creature has to make like a wisdom save or immediately use its reaction to run away.
I wasn't necessarily thinking about it as a non-hit thing. I was thinking about it as like a at the start of a creature's turn, if it's in the air. Doesn't if a creature enters that area or starts its turn there, they take like I don't know 3d6 necrotic damage and have to make the wisdom save.
Ooh, yeah. Okay. So, do we want them to? I supposing we want them to enter this as an action. As an action.
Yeah, seems reasonable.
Let me look at the. Didn't the? I just want to look at the way that the other subclasses word their things. As an action. Okay, that one's not quite what I'm looking for. As an action. Wait, is the Aberrant Soul or the Clockwork Soul the only one that has Like a stance? I thought more than one had a stance.
Clockwork Soul actually does not have a stance. You just summon an effect in a cube. I think Aberrant Mind has a stance.
No.
Oh, wait. Aberrant Mind's stance is 14th level, not 18th.
Oh, there it is. I was like, I could have sworn I had a fucking stance. Okay. As an action, should this cost sorcery points? Or just be once per long rest? I guess it could be once per long rest and maybe spend more sorcery points to do it again.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Clockwork Soul lets you spend 5 points to do it again. Aberrant Mind actually does not let you do it again no matter what. Oh, wait, no, never mind. That's very weird. They both get 14th level stances, but Clockwork Souls is once per long rest or 5 sorcery points. But Aberrant Minds is spend 1 or more sorcery points to do this for 10 minutes, and then you can do it however many times you want.
Interesting.
Weird.
You and your coven
Manifest the power of your bond? I don't know.
Well, since we're doing an immunity to necrotic damage and we're dealing necrotic damage as well as doing this at Whispers, I was thinking maybe like pull power from dark places or something of that sort of magnitude.
Something, I don't know, flavor text.
Flavor text.
Yes. Come to the dark side. Just write the words flavor text in your documents.
For 1 minute.
Hey, there's Justin.
Hey, what's up?
I'm here to ruin the camera setup.
You already did. Apparently you're Adam now, and me and Zach are both Zach.
You guys are... That is the right and left hemisphere of Zach right there.
Dark Aura. 15.
I'm a big boy.
You and each of your coven members shed a dark aura in a 15.
Damn, Justin's hogging all that screen space, and he's not even showing his face, whereas I am squeezing into this tiny frame.
Let me update this.
Nobody wants to see me eating a carrot, Adam.
Why is Adam in here twice?
Adam.
Sorry, I'm just going through I'm just reading through all the stuff.
Justin. Done. There you go. Just so you know, Justin, I crop the extreme left and right sides of webcams, so like you're barely in your webcam.
I'm aware. I can see this. I'm trying not to eat carrots on stream.
Could you fucking... Thank you. There. Shed a 15-foot radius around... It's weird to apply an aura to multiple creatures. You shed a dark aura in a 15-foot radius around each of you, but I'm using each twice in the same sentence, and it feels gross.
Around yourselves?
That makes it sound like... I think that might be the best way, but off first reading it, it sounds like you guys are in a group, and then that group, 15 feet around that group, now have an aura around them. When you're thinking of,
what
like,
are we
natural
trying to
language.
have the effect do? The dissonant whispers where it makes people run away?
Yes, that's the thing. You and your coven members get immunity to necrotic damage, and whenever a creature starts its turn in this aura or enters the aura, they take 3d6 necrotic and then a wisdom save, or they get the dissonant whispers effect where they have to use their reaction to run away.
The only thing that concerns me with that is if there's members in your coven that don't want people to run away.
You could just say...
You and any willing members of your coven.
You have immunity to necrotic damage, and you shed you can shed a dark aura up to 15 feet around you. You can change the size of this aura They use at will in the game? I don't think they do. No action.
I think you would say at any time, no action required.
Okay, yeah. That's what it is. That's how they say it for concentration at any time. And then in parentheses, no action required. Or maybe not size, but the radius of this aura.
Yeah,
Distance. I'll say radius.
I think radius is better there.
Radius of this aura is not required. When a creature that is not a member of your coven enters the area for the first time on the turn, turn, or starts its turn there, it must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against. Oh, this is tricky. Against.
Or use its reaction to leave the aura.
Right, but you have to specify the DC since this is an effect
Against
your spell save.
your spell save DC.
Right, but
wait, but other people.
Right.
So my other idea for this was the increasing it. So what if coven members were in range of you, the damage die just went up, but they also got the like necrotic resistance if they were within range of you.
What's in range? Like
60 feet. Doesn't matter. Whatever range we want to make it.
You must succeed on a wisdom saving throw.
Here, I have an idea. You
Wait, okay, what about it must succeed on a wisdom saving throw, parentheses, using the sorcerer's spell save DC.
I'll do that for right now.
Well, you don't like 8d6 necrotic damage if all 5 coven members are next to you?
See, I was going to make a moniker for the sorcerer up here, where it says you and each of your coven members. That way I could just use this moniker down here, but this...
I thought about the same thing, I just hadn't come up with a good word for it.
Alright, wait. Must make a wisdom save throw against sorcerer plus on a failed save. The creature or the target takes 3d6 necrotic damage. What just happened?
Oh goodness!
I must have accidentally hit some hotkeys there. That was strange.
Oh boy!
On a failed save, not a filed save, the target takes 3d6 necrotic damage and must immediately, use its reaction to move. How does Dissonant Whispers phrase it?
Let's check.
I've got it pulled up here. Immediately use its reaction, if available, to move as far as its speed allows away from you.
As far as its speed allows.
The creature doesn't move into obviously dangerous ground, such as fire or a pit.
I will not add that. I'll let them do that.
All right.
And then on a successful save, half as much damage and doesn't have to move.
Yeah.
Oh, and doesn't have to expend its reaction.
Well, that's this is the language from Dissonant Whispers. So clearly they've decided that that's good enough to say that they don't use their reaction.
Wild.
It doesn't have to move.
Or
Here, I'm more in screen so everyone can watch me eat a carrot now.
Good. Are you enjoying that carrot, you slut?
or the coven members just make you really strong.
I have an idea. You have. I was gonna do a thing because I don't want to add everything in this paragraph. Like, Oh, and also, if more Coven members are near you, you deal more damage. I'm gonna make it
Well,
so.
no. I think if you're giving them that effect, you don't want to make them ramp up anything.
What?
I think Zach was offering that as an alternative to this effect
Mhm.
because he saw you struggling with the wording on the Sorcerer save DC.
And
I
I
don't
think
think he was.
it's cool.
I don't think he was recommending the scaling as with everybody having their own aura.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh.
if you're giving all of your Coven members the aura also, I don't think the scaling is necessary. I think the scaling's cool instead of them getting the aura, but
Could we maybe
What does your
say
scale do?
it just adds a d6 of necrotic damage for each Coven member within range of you.
A D6
And the
subtract
aura
damage to
would-
what?
The aura, and
Okay,
they
so
wouldn't
you
have
wanted
the
the aura
aura.
to just deal a damage and then have that increase when there's more sorcerers around?
It would still do the frighten as well. Like the
Wait,
same
what?
effect as it is, but if there's a Coven member within 60 feet of you, say, it would increase the damage die by a d6.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to add. So you're not offering it as an alternative to this effect. You just
I
also
was,
want
yes.
scale.
no? He was offering it as an alternative.
They wouldn't have the aura on them. Just if they're within 60 feet of you, they get the necrotic resistance and they
Oh.
increase your damage that you do with your aura.
Oh no. Okay, yeah. I think I like this more. I like giving each of the Coven members this ability.
Can we make this when an enemy enters the area for the first time on a turn rather than a creature that is not a member of your coven? Because if you're in a large party, there are conceivably members of your party who aren't in your coven but aren't enemies.
You could just say a creature of your choice. I don't know.
So the only pitfall that a creature of your choice adds is that you can't choose a creature that you don't know is there.
Right.
So if like an invisible creature walked in, you couldn't see them, you wouldn't affect them because you don't choose them. Though,
Right.
yeah.
Well, how would that necessarily work then in terms of Spirit Guardian?
The Spirit
Let's check
Guardians,
the language on
Spirit
Spirit
Guardians, you choose creatures to be unaffected.
Yes,
You don't
when you
choose
cast a
creatures-
spell, you designate any number of creatures you can see to be unaffected by it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The enemy is such a frustrating term in 5e. It should be a key term that means like creatures that are like hostile to you or something. Because
I mean, why don't we say that? Why don't we say whenever a creature that is hostile to you? Because hostile is defined in game terms.
Because you might want to use this against a creature that isn't hostile to you.
Well, then nuts to you, I guess. I'm personally fine with using enemy. I think that enemy is used in 5e sometimes.
It is.
It's just used inconsistently and ill-defined.
Yeah, wizards just make a key term glossary or something. Just it'd make everything so much easier.
It would.
You can't use terms like enemy and then not strictly define them and then say, oh, the ability only does what it says it does. What does it say though? What is it saying?
Sure,
Yeah.
you can. They did it.
They did it.
The words, Mason, what do they mean? But
next
I like
supplement
this.
book
I
is
like
just,
the idea of this gives your allies a damage output and a defense and some crowd control, and I don't think it's overwhelming.
Right.
Because a lot of creatures are really good at wisdom saves, especially at high level. Though it also puts a limiter on the movement you can force an individual creature to make.
Right, because since it costs its reaction, it can only get scared away from one of you at a time.
But it still takes the damage, which is fine.
Yeah.
Do you have it so that if it starts its turn there, it also takes damage, or?
Yeah.
Yes, first time it enters on a turn or starts its turn there.
Okay.
Although you missed the S in its turn.
God damn it. Okay. With that, we do have a completed subclass.
And we're going to need a lot of time for the Hemoturge, I think.
Yeah, we'll need a little bit of time for the Hemoturge. I think this works as it is. I'll have to add flavor text here.
Oh yeah, make sure to replace the bracketed flavor text in Toil and Trouble with some actual flavor text.
Yeah. But this is also still subject to revision and any additional ideas that we have, especially if you want to change or add things. The more I think about it, the more it's frustrating that the invisibility does exist as well as the disadvantage on attacks thing with the teleportation. But I think there might be something out there we replace that with. We can think about that more at a different time.
Sure.
As it is, I'm willing to put this out here if we don't have any things we want to add to it before we put it out there.
Oh,
Absolutely.
one thing.
Oven.
Is there a way recharge Toil and Trouble?
Oh,
'Cause it does-
right. Whoops.
Right, yeah. We do we want to do the Clockwork Soul version where it's once per long rest or 5 sorcery points?
Yeah.
I think that's fair, yeah.
I'll just copy and paste that. Perfect. Once you use this action, not bonus action. Cool. So Swirling Visions, Covenant Surge, and Toil and Trouble.
It's kind of fun that the idea that you get Dissonant Whispers at first level, and then you get this effect at 18th.
Yeah.
It is.
It's scaling.
It's scary.
Cool. Well, then I will save this as it is, and we can start talking about the mammoth in the room.
My baby.
How long are we going to talk about that?
We're gonna talk about it, Zach. We're gonna talk about it.
How long?
We've got
I heard your
5
question. That was my answer.
I think we've got, let me double check. We've got
Shawn, nice
got-
background.
we've got 4 abilities that we need to come up with. So
Yeah.
What was the things that need to get changed? I forgot.
the
Well, we
13th
changed
level,
a bunch of stuff already.
but there are currently 4 abilities that are just straight up blank spaces right now. That is the base class features at 13th and 18th level. We want a first level ribbon for the Scarlet Knight subclass and a 15th level feature for the Chirurgeon subclass.
Okay.
That's what we're looking at right now that's missing. I think that more augmentations would be nice, but it's not strictly necessary.
Yeah. So, we can think about, again, the most comparable class to the Hemoturge is the Monk. So I'm going... Oh, I should do this on this browser. I should do it on this browser. So I'm going to look at the Monk and just give a quick review once more of its abilities around these levels. Just to have like a basis to work off of. 13th and 18th.
And while Shawn's pulling that up, one of the big criticisms of the Hemoturge from the last couple of times we've talked about it is that it is a very inwardly focused class. So coming up with features that are interactive with the outside world and with other PCs would be a boon here.
I think if we had a 13th level feature that explicitly affected your allies in a way, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Like maybe some sort of like actually. So we already have, where's it at? Where's our vascular overload? Is there any way that we have that you can use vascular overload with like allies?
See?
What do you mean?
Like, imagine you could give your vascular overload for a turn to an ally. Like, you spend a point on your turn to give them the ability until, I don't know, the end of their next turn or something. That way you could, if say your ally's in danger, or you could just give them the ability immediately. They could use the reaction to take a dash, dodge, or help action.
Oh, I mean, honestly, I think that'd be great. Just 13th level feature, you get an additional way to use your vascular overload. When you use your vascular overload, you can choose a willing creature you can see within 60 feet of you. That creature can use their reaction to take the dash or dodge actions.
The dash action, unfortunately, as it's written, if you
Would
use the reaction,
would
does
do
nothing
anything.
for you.
So they can use their reaction to move their speed or take the dodge action.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Do we want to give them like a free disengage with that or no?
I don't think so. I think that they have to choose. They have to choose to either get out of the situation or to dodge.
That could be what the fuck are they called? A sanguine augmentation for a 13th level one.
To grant that, but you don't even get the disengage action as the Hemoturge. It'd be strange to give someone else the disengage action with your Vascular Overload anyway.
Fair.
Well, yeah. So, 13th level feature.
Hey, that's all the issue that we had with Purge.
Yeah, actually, that very neatly ties up one of the biggest issues and replaces the 13th level feature. Because the old 13th level feature got demoted to a sanguine augmentation.
Wild.
I don't know if it should be a reaction, honestly. I think maybe it should just be free. I think freeform control, because I think if you're in a situation where you think your ally needs it, it'd be cool to, because there's already abilities like the moves from the fighter that are you make someone else use their reaction. Those are pretty universally understood to be not super good. But because if it's taking, I guess if this is an additional thing on top of you taking your own vascular overload, it's not that big of a deal.
Okay, so it's not a thing that your vascular overload can do. It's a thing that your vascular overload does when you use it.
Oh, that's the way that you phrase it. And I was just because you said when you use your I guess the way you're phrasing it wasn't necessarily.
You're right. Sorry, I what I meant to say was you gain an additional way to use your vascular overload, which was how I worded it in the past when I let you do things like cast a cantrip with it.
I'll just write it like this for the moment. You. Oh yeah, because it would be a bonus action on your turn, like it is typically. So that makes sense.
Right.
Vascular overload.
Got kind of a wild the 18th level feature.
What are you thinking?
So, I don't remember if how much we actually talked about the temporary hit points like revolving around this class and all the subclasses of it. I know that was like kind of a theme with it, was that you could have a fairly decent amount of ways of getting temp HP. What if I don't know how to phrase this. I'm going to do it the best I can. Whenever you are in combat, temporary hit points you gain stack upon themselves.
Oh God,
that's a lot.
That's.
I'm trying to remember like all the different ways that you get them, because I know like you can get like a little bit here, you get like up to your con mod here,
like a little bit.
I think each subclass has their own unique way of getting temporary hit points or something. Because we
I
have an
believe-
ability.
Yeah,
that's based on temp HP.
At 14th level, the class gets temp HP on using vascular overload, and then I think every subclass has its own way to get temp HP.
Wait, was there not like a class feature that proc specifically on temp HP?
That was the 14th level ability, but then you took out all of the parts that procced on temp HP.
Oh, right. Which we do have to replace that stuff with something else, it looks like. God, I wish I could remember what we were talking about.
I mean, there's the ideas for it.
Actually, I think I can compare it with my version of the Hemoturge, because I haven't changed it since the last time we talked about it. So mine should still have whatever the last thing I said it was. Oh, no, great. What I said was, when you use your vascular overload feature, roll your blood die and gain that many temporary hit points, parentheses, some other benefit to be added here.
Yeah. because we did like the idea of your temporary hit points. Oh, here's the paragraph. Perhaps a sort of aura could be done here. While Hemoturge has any sort of temporary hit points, it gains up 10-foot aura. While creatures within 10 feet of you, if they were to hit by an attack, they can use the reaction to add your combat to their AC against the attack, like an AoE shield spell. Interesting. Or you share your temporary hit points with a creature within the aura, so if they take damage, you can choose to lose your temporary hit points first before they take damage of their own. No action required. Okay, those are both interesting ideas, but
So it looks like
wait. Instead of this is a different thing, but 10-foot aura. Whenever a creature starts their turn in that aura, they gain as many temporary hit points as you have.
ooh, that'd be interesting. Do you want that to be a general thing for the Hemoturge? Like when the Hemoturge has temporary hit points, so do other creatures in 10 feet of it get those same temporary hit points? Or do you want that to be only after you've used your Vital Force and you have those specific temporary hit points?
Vital Force isn't specific to, I mean, it gives you temporary hit points anytime you use Vascular Overload, but I think it's fine for it to be anytime you have temporary hit points. So it'd be like, in addition, while you have temporary hit points, whenever an ally starts their turn within 10 feet of you, they can gain temporary hit points equal to the number of temporary hit points you have.
A creature you choose.
Since it's proccing at the start of their turn, I don't like having creature of your choice in the language. I'm not even sure if that's supported. Generally, you only make choices on your turns.
I would see what it says about the Paladin aura.
Depending on the aura that you look at, it's different.
That's right.
It says ally for aura protection, but some of the subclasses have different phrases. Pretty sure it's usually. I think they've changed it to creature of your choice to the subclass auras.
So I will say, I'm surprised that temporary is only found 6 times in this document. Looks like your Juggernaut doesn't have a built-in way that they get temporary hits.
Yes, they do. Every turn they get con mod temp HP.
Really? What is that? What I saw, or did I see it for the? I thought I was looking at Scarlet Knight.
15th level, Life's Dynamo. At 15th level,
okay.
you are not unstoppable at the beginning of each of your turns. You gain a number of temporary hit points equal to your
I know
Constitution.
I know why I thought that, because when it jumped to it, it had the Scarlet Knight below it for some reason. I was like, oh yeah, that's the Juggernaut. So my mistake. The Scarlet Knight is the one that doesn't have.
And the Scarlet Knight has augmentations that let them get temp HP. Because I think previously Vengeful Ichor gave them some temp HP, but I took that out when I was reworking it the first time.
Yeah, so we can just say allies. So in addition,
Well, also when if we're doing this, that totally gets rid of the idea that I had.
What was your idea?
The 18th level one that I talked about, for where they can have temp HP stack.
Oh right, yeah. I wasn't looking forward to how that would need to be worded anyways, so
bolster aura.
That's fair.
When an ally starts its turn within 10 feet of you, they gain a number of temporary hit points equal to, I guess, the number of temporary hit points you currently have. Sure. In addition, you shed a bolstering aura. When an ally starts to turn within 10 feet of you, they gain a number of temporary hit points equal to the number of temporary hit points you have.
Shawn, in the 13th level feature, you've written that they can immediately move up to their movement or take the dash action, and I think that should be dodge action.
Oh, whoops. You can either move or have more movement, which goes away before you can move.
Yeah.
Cool. It's a nice little bonus to Vital Force, and since you have a reliable way of getting hit point or temporary hit points as Hemoturge, it all works out, especially the next level when you get it for your subclasses.
So I know that these abilities are universally panned, but for the 18th level feature, what if it was when you roll initiative, if you have no blood points, gain a number of blood points equal to your constitution modifier?
How
Um,
about
I know that those abilities are universally panned, but
right? But usually those are panned because they're like the 20th level abilities, and it's like, well, this is a very like bad 20th level ability. Or is this
right,
like
since this has subclass capstones instead of full class capstones, I think it would feel a little less bad, but I'm still not sure it's actually good.
what about, because 5e does have a distinction of in combat, out of combat, and rolling initiative and stuff. What if it was like at the start of each of your turns in combat, if you have temporary hit points, you gain 1 blood point or something like that?
well, aren't there a lot of aren't there a lot of the things that that say like at the start of your turn you get temp HP?
Yeah,
There are, but those are useful outside of combat, and we don't want them to
right.
just
But
always...
I think what Justin's saying is that you would have an issue of which one resolves first. But since they're both your
Oh, I
abilities,
see.
you get to choose which one resolves first. But I would rather not have to get
Yeah.
into the specifics of
about-
how abilities resolve.
What about if it was your con modifier plus a D4 blood die? I don't know.
Wait, what do you
A
mean a
D4
D4 blood die?
I'm looking. I don't know. I'm looking at the blood dies, just trying to like see if we can tie this into it.
I mean, so the blood die is a thing like your blood die is always that size when you're at that level. So if when you're at 18th level, your blood die is always a D12.
Okay. How about this? You get a number of blood points equal to your con modifier, and you can choose to expend a blood die and take the damage from that die and get more points.
That'd be a lot of points, though. When are you saying that would trigger?
Just at the start of initiative, if you have 0.
At the start of initiative, if you have 0. The thing is, that's harder to trigger than I was initially thinking it was, because blood points are a short rest resource.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm a fan of the regaining blood points idea. Because we changed it to a short rest, and I think 20 points in a short rest is already pretty decent. The unique thing about the Hemoturge though is that a lot of their blood points spent also means a lot of HP spent as well, and they have a lower hit die than the monk does.
But they're sad on con, which is why I gave them the D6 hit die.
They're very, very sad on con. I do like the idea of implementing blood dice in some way.
That's the thing. I would love for this ability to have you bloodlet, but I'm not sure what it needs to be.
There gotta be something. I was thinking about something that procs each time you roll a blood die. But I'm trying to think of what would be an interesting ability.
What if whenever you... No, bloodletting isn't as common as it would need to be for that to be good. My thought was, whenever you bloodlet, if you're under half HP, regain your con mod and HP. So essentially, you'd get a refund every time you bloodlet.
I'm trying to think of how I would feel about that as a level 18th ability, because it's one of those things where it's like it's useful, but it doesn't feel like that's a really like juicy level 18 ability.
But I mean, what that's doing is, so your bloodlet is going to have an average cost of like what, 6.5 hit points, and you're going to be regaining 5 of those. So it's an expected cost of 1.5 hit points when you bloodlet instead of 6.5. I'm not sure that it's a slam dunk. I think it's better than you're giving it credit for. I mean, what if it's just whenever you use a blood point, if you're under half HP, regain con mod HP?
It's kind of similar to the champion ability, but it requires cost before gain.
What about
any thoughts, Zach, or are you just reading through the Hemoturge?
I got
it's a lot to think about. I don't have any thoughts.
I kind of have
what's a cool ability that involves blood?
I kind of have a crazy one.
What's your crazy one?
You can at the start of how do I want to word this? I essentially want to find a way for where you can use a blood point, and keep using blood points to temporarily get access to a sanguine augmentation.
Oh god, temporary access to an augmentation sounds complicated.
I don't like that.
What if you
I'm
had
not
a
thrilled with it
connection
either.
to another No.
What if you had some sort of coven?
So something that'd be interesting. What if they had a way to spend their blood points and bloodlet? But most of the abilities that let them do that are instantaneous abilities. What if it was an ability that lasted for a round, but each turn afterward they could do something to let it keep going? So sort of like the sustain mechanic from 4E, where there's something they have to do each turn to let it keep going. Because I think it'd be a unique thing to explore for a blood-based class. I just don't know what that ability would even be, unfortunately. Basically, a way for them to implement blood dice without having to bloodlet every turn that they do it. My only issue is that the Hemoturge is already stacked on bonus actions, and that would be my go-to to make a sustaining.
Yeah, it's very choked on bonus actions because of vascular overload. Do we want to scroll down and look at one of the other places where we need something? Maybe come back to this?
I think it's a good idea.
So the Chirurgeon needs a 15th level ability. I think that's the next one in alphabetical order. Yeah, so
the Chirurgeon's sort of like it for Zach's. It's sort of like a battlefield medic. Like they use their blood to aid others.
Right, so they've got like a lot of non-magical healing. They've got like an improved way to use healers kits, stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think we
Probably not another healing feature.
Yeah, not another healing feature. So
right, because basically all of their features heal.
Yeah. What would be an interesting thing for like a support class to have that isn't healing? Obviously, there are other things support classes can do.
Counter healing.
Aren't healing. What did you say?
I said counter healing. Healing denial.
Actually, wait. Counter healing makes perfect sense for a Hemoturge healer. Whenever a creature within 30 feet of you would regain hit points, you can have the number of hit points they regain by spending a blood point.
Maybe. Maybe 2 blood points, because this is at 15th level, so you should have plenty of them.
It shouldn't cost more at a higher level.
Well,
if we're gonna make it 2, maybe it's a saving throw or it's completely negated.
If it was 2, I'd be fine with it just negating. Personally.
Sure. 2 blood points
for
a creature within 30 feet of you to have its healing negated. As a reaction, of course.
Yeah, as a reaction.
Yeah. That's actually kind of neat.
Justin, you're a genius.
Well, if I do say so myself, I totally wasn't saying that as a joke after we were talking about the other healing spells.
What are you thinking, Shawn?
I was thinking maybe there's something you could do with conditions as well. What if like like a creature saves against a poison, and you can make them take the poison anyway or something. But that seems like it could be a little too. I'll write that down for right now, though. Let's 15.
Yeah, I think there might be something there. Like if a creature makes a save that would, if a creature is making a saving throw against poisoned or paralyzed, you can give them disadvantage with your reaction or something like that.
Why don't we? I
don't
would
know.
even say you could. I would say you could even expand it, like poison, restrain,
Actually, wait.
paralyze.
What if you can, as a reaction, give somebody a disadvantage on a Constitution saving throw?
Ooh.
Just any Constitution saving throw.
That's really good, and I mean that I'm not gonna lie. The I don't know, fucking
Chirurgeon is how I've been saying it, but chirurgeon is technically correct.
the sawbone.
The
Sawblade.
sawbone, yeah.
Sawbones. Because they're not going to really be the one that's doing a lot of damage in combat.
Probably not. No, they aren't getting extra attacks. So,
but this does help them fill a very nice niche of being great against spellcasters. Because if you know that you're barbarian,
disadvantage on disadvantage on concentration checks. Incredible. Oh man.
I mean, you have like your barbarian or your paladin or rogue, like just doing like a fuck ton of damage on in one attack. You know that's going to be a hard save. You want to help guarantee that.
I'm very happy with how that turned out. I've been staring at the Chirurgeon for months trying to come up with this ability, and I'm pretty chuffed about this.
I do my best work with no preparation whatsoever. First time I've stared at the Hemoturge since we talked about it on my car trip back down to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
How do I phrase this? They use the reaction. I negate, regain to prevent them. Oh, to prevent them from regaining any hit points. To prevent them from regaining any hit points. And then also reaction to grant disadvantage on a con save.
Yes.
What's a good name for this? Blood disruption. I'm gonna put that for now, but I feel very uncreative for having blood in the name.
I got so far only using blood in blood dice and blood points, but
veins run thin.
Cardiac disruption. Cardiac
disruption.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Trying to remember what cardiac.
I'll put veins run thin for right now.
Cardiac specifically means the heart. Veins
which vein
run
is it?
thin.
Which vein is in the body? A or E?
EI is in the body.
Okay. Additionally, a creature Constitution saving throw.
As I'm not gonna lie.
Oh fuck! Wait, I think the name of this ability should just be hemorrhage.
Sure. It's not looking good, guys. I got Buffalo Wild Wings, thinking that it would last me more than one night.
It's 2 R's, but otherwise that's correct.
Okay.
Did not last me more than one night.
Or maybe like forced hemorrhage or something. I don't know. Whatever. Close enough. I got to use the word hemorrhage.
Was that the one like blood term that you just couldn't ever find a place to like have it fit in?
Honestly, I did not have a list of blood terms that I was trying to use. What I had was every time I came up with an ability, I was like, fuck, what's another synonym for blood?
Lovely.
Well, because like I've got, what do I have? I have sanguine, I have arterial, I have venous, I have ichor, I have let's see, what else do I have? Scarlet, I think I used once. Like, I used so many words that
You
weren't.
used Scarlet a few times.
All right. Let's
Okay,
think
so
of a neat first level ribbon for the Scarlet Knight. Gotta
right,
be a
this
ribbon.
doesn't. Yeah, this does not need to be like a strong mechanical feature. Just needs to be like a nice little bow on top of, because you're getting full martial weapon and armor proficiencies and a fighting style. So you're getting a decent amount at first level here. We just thought that it needed a little touch of flavor.
Okay.
I'm gonna go look at the samurai and cavalier and see what they get. Because they get like some skill proficiencies or something, I think.
I know
Yeah,
the
they get a
Battle
choice-
Master gets like calligraphy tools and stuff, which is pretty interesting. Or is it the samurai?
I think that's the cavalier, actually. Or wait, no.
All
What
my
the hell
book.
is this?
No, the Battle Master gets something called like tools of the trade or something, and they get like calligraphy.
Okay, bonus proficiency for samurai, history, insight, performance, or persuasion, a language of your choice. Oh, elegant courtier, yeah. No, wait, no. What the fuck? I seem to remember the same thing you do, Shawn, but I can't find it when I'm looking at these two subclasses.
We go to the fighter in the book. I think they stayed away from that. So
think
the
that
Battle Master gets one type of art, gets proficiency with an artisan tool of their choice.
All right, it's
but
not calligraphies specifically. I thought the samurai did get calligraphy though. I thought that was a big thing for the samurai.
I think that maybe the UA samurai gave them calligrapher's tools.
Oh, maybe.
So both the cavalier and the samurai get a skill and a language at their third level,
or a language, because it says
No,
alternatively you can learn one language
shit,
of your
a
choice.
skill or a language. Ugh.
Yeah.
I mean, skill or a language, is that a fine ribbon? Like,
Yeah,
kind of boring. Skill
it was kind
or
of boring.
so they've got
language. It seems so strange. Language is
well,
so
also,
less valuable than skill.
Well, it's also a restricted list of skills. For Cavalier, it's animal handling, history, insight, performance, or persuasion. And for Samurai, it's the same list minus animal handling. So maybe for Scarlet Knight, we give them the option of like medicine, intimidation, survival, and athletics.
Athletics makes sense, yeah.
Although there is a sanguine augmentation that gives you athletics proficiency, so maybe
Oh.
I don't know.
Could make it maybe Arcana, since I mean they're already like manipulating blood and stuff.
Yeah, sure. So like Arcana, intimidation, survival, or medicine, or a language.
I think we could probably maybe look to. I'm just trying to think of other skills that could work here. Why not stealth?
I mean, they wear like medium armor and stuff. I don't know.
That's the thing. This is a con-based class, and this is the strength-based subclass of the con-based class. So like,
gotcha.
Dex would probably be their tertiary ability. Although I guess you could be a Dex-based Scarlet Knight.
Well, because I was like looking at the when you look at these like bonus proficiencies, like fighter in terms of looking at it from the fighter perspective.
Oh,
they don't get performance or persuasion.
What if it was like well, I mean, this depends on the table, I guess, because a lot of people do this as bonus actions. But let's say, what if you gave them proficiency in perception and they can make perception checks in battle as a bonus action? That way, they can find enemies that are hiding and stuff, and are better at not being surprised and shit.
That's the thing. If that weren't one of the most commonly house-ruled things, I think that'd be a really good ability. But that's the thing. It's sort of like giving a subclass the ability to drink potions as a bonus action. It's like, well, that's one of the most common homebrew rules. So, like...
Yeah. What was the fourth? You said Arcana, Medicine, Survival. What was the other one?
Intimidation was what I said.
Intimidation. That makes sense.
Yeah, I was just looking at it just because, like, the bonus
and
proficiencies...
I'm going to put alternatively learn 2 languages of your choice, because I think one language is kind of underwhelming in place of a skill.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Or 2 languages You learn one artisan tool. Maybe I'll just do languages. Fuck it. You learn 2 languages of your choice. Fuck it.
Fuck yeah. All right, so now we come back to the 18th level base class feature.
And this is the last thing that we need to do.
That's the thing. More augmentations would be nice, but I don't think it's...
We just need a solid idea that we all feel pretty decent about, you know?
Hey man, I've been throwing off solid ideas. Nobody likes them.
You've been throwing out ideas.
Well, and also, you have been throwing out solid ideas, because your Chirurgeon idea was phenomenal, and we took inspiration from your temp HP thing for the fix for Vital Force.
True.
I'm trying to... Now, it's an augmentation to prevent your... Is it an augmentation, or is it a subclass, one of the subclasses that, like, allows you to essentially not lose or not have your max HP go down?
What if it?
That's one of the Juggernaut features, because I stole that from the Necromancer Wizard.
Look,
Okay.
Stances are cool, right? What if it was a stance?
What
What if it was a stance?
The problem is the subclasses already have stances.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. I was gonna say, what if it was a stance that lets you use your vascular overload free, and then you could like use your blood points to do other stuff during it? But yeah,
I was thinking about a stance earlier, but I'm pretty sure we gave every subclass a stance as its capstone.
They all have stances.
fuck.
Because stances are...
Oh wait, no, the Blood Mage does not have a stance anymore. We reworked once more from the top completely, but I think all of the other ones have stances as their capstone. Well, actually, no, it's just the Chirurgeon and the Scarlet Knight.
Oh, right. I forgot that you technically have... I forgot that you have
Wait.
4 fucking...
No, actually, the Scarlet Knight one is not a stance either. I think
What?
it used to be a stance, but we buffed it to be permanent. The Chirurgeon is the only one with a stance, so maybe we could do a stance.
I think that might get a little complicated, just subclass already having a stance, but that's just my opinion on that.
I mean, well, I was gonna say technically the Frenzy Barbarian has a second stance, but it's really just a buffed version of the existing stance.
I wouldn't even say that's a buff.
That's why I put it in quotes.
Yeah.
I mean, it is stronger than a rage. It's just that, you know, you can either do 2-weapon fighting. I don't know. It's not great.
It's not great. See the...
It'd be cool. It'd be cool to tie up vascular overload and blood dice in some way, and like a cool 18th level feature.
Hear me out.
Okay.
No, that's how we've been doing this entire time. I'm done. Let's go.
Anytime you bloodlet,
Okay.
you leave behind some blood on a spot, you can now teleport to that blood.
For how long?
I don't know.
That is very
It's
interesting.
called Trail of
That
Blood.
does. My only issue with that is it's so obviously magical compared to the rest of the class. The rest of the class is pretty like, you know, it's touching on like controlling blood, but it's like so like control oriented as opposed to magical. Besides, obviously but that is an interesting idea. Like, mark a spot.
I mean, you're 18th level now. You're magical.
You're a magic boy.
All right, we just give them my Tides of Blood spell.
I do like the idea of like each time you bloodlight, you make some sort of mark of some sort, though. Like maybe not like literally a spatial spot.
Wait, what if whenever you bloodlet, any number of creatures of your choice within 10 feet of you also take the damage?
Ooh, so you can start using your abilities like offensively.
Right, that's the thing. Every time you bloodlet, you're also bloodletting your opponents who are close enough to you.
My only
like
concern is that's automatic damage. I guess it's 18th level, but
level.
It's 18th level, and it's automatic damage that you're also taking.
True.
And a 10-foot radius is not that big.
We could even make it smaller. We could make it 5 feet. Like,
No, I was saying that 10 feet's not that big.
oh,
10's
okay,
fine.
yeah.
Like,
What are you thinking, Shawn? Are you looking at the exact wording on bloodletting?
I was seeing, is there a way already in the class that allows you to like affect other creatures' attacks and ability checks and shit like negatively?
Other than that, I don't think so. We've got like the Juggernaut can add con to their AC, and the Chirurgeon can give disadvantage on a con save. What are you
What if
thinking?
it was every time you bloodlight, you do the damage, but also their next attack has disadvantage or something like that? Which is
Maybe it should be choose a target if it's going to be like damage and an added effect.
I don't know, because I think damage, because it's
Dexterity saving throw.
it's about as much damage as
Nope.
a low level cantrip, and that disadvantage on next attack thing is literally what Vicious Mockery does. It's basically just like an AoE Vicious Mockery that does less damage actually.
Right, because D12 is less than 4D4.
Yeah.
So whenever you bloodlet, choose any number of creatures within 10 feet of you that you can see. They take an amount of piercing damage equal to the amount you bloodlet, and have disadvantage on their next attack roll until the end of their next turn, or however Vicious Mockery words that disadvantage.
Just their next attack.
Their next
Just
attack.
the next attack. Okay.
I mean, we could also say next attack. We maybe even do next attack and saving throw.
We could attack. We could do attack. I mean, you could do any D20 roll. It's just where do we want to limit it? Do we want to just be attack?
I think attack roll.
Let's call it attack roll.
And
yeah, hey, so this is finally your blood darts. This is finally the blood darts that I mentioned in the flavor text.
That's true. In fact, I could get rid of that augmentation that made no sense that I made.
So wait,
at 18th level, when you bloodlet, you can target any number of creatures within 10 feet of you. Each target, or a target takes, piercing damage equal to the amount you bloodlet, and has disadvantage on the next attack roll with no time limit.
Yes, seems fair.
When you bloodlight, you target any number of creatures within 10 feet of you. Fucking typo. A target takes piercing damage equal to the amount you bloodlet and has disadvantage on the next attack roll it makes. It's a neat ability. It does a couple of things, I think. One, it makes rolling high in your bloodlight. I think a lot of your bloodletting abilities already do this, but this makes it even better. When you roll high in your bloodlight, it doesn't feel as bad.
Yeah.
Because you're like, well, I also did this. Two, it's a defensive ability as well as offensive. Because if you're with a ton of these creatures, there's a good chance that they're targeting you. So it's a good built-in ability, and it's just a passive thing that happens every time you bloodlight. I think that's cool. I like that a lot.
It feels really good too across the board with all the different subclasses. Definitely feels good. It feels good for the tanks. It feels good for your support. It feels good for your spellcaster.
For a name for this feature, what about Bolts of Blood? And then we need to name the 13th level feature, and then we're done.
Oh yeah.
One quick thing I want to point out.
Oh sure.
For the 15th level ability, do we just call it Hemorrhage? Is that what we just called it?
Oh, for Chirurgeon, yeah.
Yeah. Hemorrhage or like forced hemorrhage or something like that. Yeah.
So should we specify hit points from that source, or hit points like until the end of that creature's turn? Like, how do we want to? When a creature
within 30 feet of you regains hit points, you could spend. Oh, sorry. I'll change it to as a reaction. They are. I didn't even put as a reaction. You prevent them from getting any hit points. As a reaction, you can force them to regain 0 hit points instead.
Okay.
Great.
That solves that.
Improved vascular overload.
It could just be improved vascular overload.
I
mean, that's all I'll put for now, because it is just improved vascular overload.
Hey, Adam.
Yeah.
did it.
What?
I'm gonna add that they can take the help action too, because it'd be neat to, if you're a ranged Hemoturge, to have someone else give you the help action on your attack or something.
Okay. Move up to its movement, take the dodge action, or take the help action.
Yeah.
Also, you spelled immediately wrong.
God damn it. Immediately. The creature can immediately move up to its movement, take the dodge action, or take the help action. Or take the dodge or help actions. I think might be the better way to phrase that. I'm not sure. Or action. Yeah, I mean, so Brewvaster Overload is the name for now. I mean,
What about? No. I'll come up with something. I'll come up with something.
Sure. All right. Well, then that just leaves me deleting all of the little annotations I've made on it and then turning it into an actual document in our DBS stuff. And then, yeah, this thing's ready to get grilled by Reddit.
I was gonna say I am going to be so fucking anxious to see Reddit's reaction to this.
Dude, you know that there's gonna be one guy out there that's just like, you can't make Constitution your spellcasting modifier. And
there's gonna be a ton of people saying that. Since the original thread where I made this class out of spite, I have seen multiple people saying like, oh yeah, this is completely unplayable because you have Constitution as the main casting stat. And it's like, well, shut up about it.
None of them got 4 minds like us that all converge to make this shit happen.
Well, and also, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't think any of those people thought as hard about the problem as I did. Like,
yeah, I will say there is one distinct advantage that Hemoturge has over other classes, and that it is directly empowered if you take like the tough feat.
Yes.
Or have a hill dwarf as your race, or mountain dwarf, whichever one it is.
I think it's Hill Dwarf.
Yeah.
It's whichever one I am in Zach's campaign, because I wanted more HP.
It's the Hill Dwarf.
All right. Well, then that is our wrap-up, our cleanup of both the Hemoturge and our Coven Blood Hag. What do we want to call that subclass? Zach, what is a cool witch name for a subclass for Sorcerer?
Were you trying to avoid witch?
No.
We just couldn't think of a good like noun to go with witch, because like most of the sorcerers, it's like, oh, draconic soul, aberrant mind, clockwork soul, wild magic. What the fuck is that?
Because you have Coven as an ability, I'm not sure.
I think Hagborn is what we have written down right now.
I don't like that tag, but it does fit.
Well, and we were basing a lot of the abilities on how the hag works in 5e.
Yeah.
The sorcerer has the least consistent subclass names.
Yeah.
Aberrant Mind, Clockwork Soul, Divine Soul, Draconic Bloodline, Shadow Magic, Wild Magic. Storm Sorcery is they just have sorcery in the name for the sorcerer subclass.
I had been thinking Hexblood would be great if they hadn't made that the name of the hag race from Van Richten's.
Oh, I didn't know that existed.
Yeah.
There isn't much hexing going on with our subclass, though, to be fair.
Right.
There's a lot of charming, isn't there?
No, I don't think there's any charming abilities.
There's a lot of
charm.
There's some decent charm spells, but
oh yeah, in the spell list we gave it, yeah, there's some.
What about like Occult Bloodline or something?
I like that.
All right, yeah.
I like that better than Hag.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Hagborn. I'll fix that later. So we're thinking Occult Born, Occult Blood.
Yeah, I was thinking Occult Bloodline or something like that. I don't know. There's when I look up synonyms for witch, it's giving me like, oh, bitch, cow, old man, and I'm like, no, not what I'm looking for.
Not the ones I'm looking for.
The Way of the Witch. We just crib the monk subclass name. Is like sorcerers could do whatever the fuck they want with their sorcerer names.
Actually, wizards kind of do too, because like war magic is completely different from college of
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, but that was because like in
They
the
ran
original
out of all the schools of magic.
yeah.
They're like, what do we do
Well,
now? Well, we can't call everything else a school.
I was thinking they
Fuck.
didn't really leave themselves a lot of room to expand when they named all of them College of X. Although technically it's arcane tradition, and so you're a College of Abjuration wizard. So it's, I don't know, whatever. They
All right.
could have made it better.
Well, we have successfully cleaned up all that we had left. So, I mean, unless we have anything else to say, we can end things here, guys. Any other last words?
Don't we need to pick what we're doing next week?
Right. We didn't
I say
do that.
items.
We
of
could do
some
more
sort.
items. Items are fun.
It's been a couple weeks. On here we have amalgam arcane or items that placed on enemy. I think
Ooh.
either one of those would be pretty interesting.
I think Amalgam Arcane is basically like magic sets again.
Items you place on enemies that are also an arcane amalgamation.
I'd rather do arcane amalgams of these two. Items placed on enemies, I have absolutely no idea where I would start with that. So wait a second. Am I even going to be here next week?
I don't know. Are you?
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
the 9th.
The 9th I'll be here. The 16th I won't. So
Okay.
I'd vote for Amalgam Arcane for this week.
It says of existing items.
Oh fuck.
Oh,
That's what it says on
arcanes
here.
of existing items.
I-
What if we did cursed versions of existing items?
Oh yeah,
Ah.
sure. A cursed version of an existing item. I like that.
And
Let's
we
do
all
that.
bring like a couple.
Yeah.
I've got one already.
Since it's gonna be the same item, just with a curse on it.
Yeah.
So we could probably. I think we could all spring to make a few.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be very hard to go over them either. We'll just discuss like how well the curse. Yeah, I like that. So curse magic items again, but the twist is like with what Zach did, an existing magical item with a curse placed upon it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Today's word of the day is cormorant. It's a type of seabird.
They're fucking cool. They're kind of like albatrosses.
Is it the
Right,
first time you
but-
picked a word that had nothing to do with what we talked about during the podcast?
Maybe, I don't know. I just had cormorants on the brain.
Adam wants to eat some cormorants.
Probably not. I don't know that they taste very good. The last aquatic bird I ate wasn't very tasty.
Which
What
was
the
it?
last aquatic bird? Did you eat a pelican?
No, it was a duck.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry that you had bad duck.
I mean,
duck.
mostly I
That's
just
my
am
superhero
not.
name.
So like, duck is super fatty, and I'm not generally a fan of like very fatty meat. So like, duck just probably was not going to be a good play for me, anyways. Even if it was like well done duck. You can turn the stream off whenever, Shawn. I'm cool.
I haven't said the line.
Oh yeah, you got.
Justin hasn't said the line.
Say the line, Bart.
Bye, everyone.
Drink water.
That which is lost must be found, and that which is found must be remembered. See, I know
Bye,
it.
everybody.